Well, it's that time of year again where the weather's changing and we need to get ready for the winter.
Yep, so what we're going to do in this video is we're going to give you a handful of tips of things that you can do today to get ready, whether you're a full-timer, a part-timer, or you're putting your rig away for the winter. Here's some tips that you can do right now to get ready for the cold weather. So welcome back to the Happy Place Diaries. I'm Jerry.
And I'm Teresa.
Hey, and if this is your first time with us and we've just got a pretty good new group of subscribers, we want to welcome you and thank you for coming along with us. If you're a returning guest, you know that we appreciate you. So let's just jump right in with some tips that we've learned over the last, 8-9 years of RVing. And now we are in our third winter, coming into our third winter of full-time in this. And so here's some tips, and we think that you'll get something out of that as the sun comes out and it's like
70 degrees.
Anyway, let's jump right in. So this tip is about insulating and getting your outdoor plumbing ready for the winter. And what we've done is we've insulated all of any pipes that are outside of the underbelly, which is insulated. So any pipes that are outside, we insulate them, and we insulate it all the way to the end here. And what we do is, because we're not winterizing, we add antifreeze down our pipes. And you're gonna have to do this every time you dump, but we add it so that we have one of the Valterra extra valves out here. We put the antifreeze all the way down to that, because this pipe right here is the only pipe that we've ever had freeze. But by adding some antifreeze down here to the end, we've kept that from happening. So add a little bit of antifreeze down your sinks. It's a good idea to put a little bit in your gray tanks, a little bit in your black tanks, and put it down here in that pipe. That'll keep that from freezing and insulate any outdoor plumbing. So because we keep all of our hookups inside of the wet bay and inside of this pass-through here, which is a heated pass-through, everything inside there never freezes. But what we do on our outside hose that's coming into the trailer down here, we go ahead and insulate all of our outdoor hoses with either pool noodles, or this is the insulation noodle that you pick up at any of your box stores. But we'll go ahead and insulate our entire hose with that. And also the outdoor spigot, we make sure that that's insulated also. So now is a good time, because we have not filled our propane tank since about June. Now is a good time to make sure that both of your propane tanks are full. And we actually bought a third tank so that when it gets really cold and we're burning through propane, we have an extra 30-pound tank that gets us through until the next fill up. Another tip on your propane is make sure that you're checking your dates on your propane tank, because there's nothing worse than showing up to get your tank filled and they turn you away because your tank has expired. One thing to look into is if your tanks are expired, they will refurbish your tank and make it compliant. But make sure that you're checking the date on your tank. They're good for, I think it's 10 years. Don't quote me on that, but make sure that you're checking the date and get your tanks full.
One of the other things that you might want to do is check your furnace. I know it's still the end of September, beginning of October. Some of you may still be in great weather, but you want to check it now so that in case it doesn't work, you can either get it fixed or fix it yourself. There's a couple other things to talk about heating up your trailer or your fifth wheel or whatever. And one of them is the electric fireplace that we have here. And this thing puts out a ton of heat. So that's one way. Another way is to get a just a heater, a stand-up little heater. And I like the ones that if they fall, they automatically turn off. just for safety. But these come in handy, especially when sometimes the heat doesn't get back to the bedrooms as much as it does to the front of the trailer.
Yeah, so I'll jump in real quick and talk about two things. First, the space heater, our area down in the kitchen is lower and cold air settles in low. Sometimes we'll bring that space heater out and put it down there, and that'll heat up that area. But primarily we use that space heater back in the bedroom.
Right.
And that way we don't have to run the furnace unless it's cold enough that we're afraid that pipes are gonna, get too cold. But we'll usually just get away with just that space heater. The last thing that we'll talk about in alternate heating is if your air conditioner has a heat pump, that's another really good way of getting air pushed out throughout your trailer, because it's coming through all of your ducting, and that does a really good job of moving air throughout your rig.
And of course, blankets. Make sure that you have several blankets. I know that we have a huge one on our bed that we use, and then when we're out in the living room we have 2 or 3, one for the dogs and then one for Jerry and I. It's just good to have around. And sometimes you don't want to turn on the heater or the furnace because it's kind of cold but not really, and that's when a blanket comes in handy to snuggle with. Okay, another thing that we use is a dehumidifier, and I just turned it off.
No.
Sorry. It takes all the moisture out of the air, and so this one's really cool. It lights up and it starts blinking when the water's full, and then we just dump it. The other thing that we use is a damp rid. It tracks and traps excess moisture, eliminates musty odors, and it's great. We just set one on each side of our bed, and then when it's full we dump it out and go get a new one.
What we learned in our very first winter in the fifth wheel is the way that our bed, the head of the bed, sits inside of the slide out. We got a lot of condensation from our breath, and that's why we put these on either side of the bed.
Yeah.
Because it really makes a difference. And if you're going to get a dehumidifier, and we'll leave a link below, this dehumidifier, and the reason we have it where we have it, is this covers enough square footage for our entire rig. So this is pulling moisture out of the entire rig.
Oh.
But we have it close to the bathroom because that's where the most moisture comes from. So anyway, that's why we have it here, and it works great. And everybody knows that moisture and water is death to an RV.
Okay, one of my favorite things that we use during the wintertime, well, we use it throughout the whole year, but during the wintertime is when the mice want to come into the trailer. So we use the food containers that are airtight, so that if somehow a critter gets in here, they can't get into our food. This also eliminates all the odors, so the mice can't smell anything, so they don't have anything to look for. So this is the OXO brand, which we love. There's so many different kinds, but we like this one. We have not had any mice, and I hope never to have mice.
So another thing to consider as you're prepping for winter is get a little emergency kit put together. Go get a case of water. We've got bottles of water that we keep around all the time, but get an extra case of water for the winter. Get those blankets like Teresa talked about. That's always a good idea, especially if there's a power outage or whatever. Probably a really good time for you to do maintenance on your generator. Get some de-icer for your stairs, a snow shovel or a little shovel or an ice scraper or something, so that you don't bust your butt when you're getting out of the trailer because your steps are iced over. Ask me how I know. So, but there's a lot of little things like that. Make sure that you put fresh batteries in your flashlights, yes, or charge those things up. But put together an emergency kit, because you're gonna need it. Whether you're in the trailer or out of the trailer, you're gonna need an emergency kit. Okay, Teresa has a really quick bonus tip, which I think might just trump all of the tips that we've talked about.
Let's move south. You can move south. It's always warm down there.
Yeah, if you don't want to be in the cold weather,
Well,
move away from it.
Yep, exactly.
Now, that's not an option for us. We want to stay near the grandkids for Christmas and whatnot. So we're going to stay up here in Oregon and, you know, deal with the cold weather. But yeah, if you have the option,
Move south.
find warmer weather.
Florida,
Arizona, wherever. Hey, listen, again, we appreciate you coming by and watching our videos. If you've got a tip, please leave a comment in the comment section on a great get ready for winter tip. If you haven't already done so, hit that thumbs up, give us a like. YouTube likes when you like.
Tell a friend.
Tell a friend, and don't forget to hit the subscribe button, hit the little bell. It'll notify you every time we put out a video, and we will see you
On the next one.
in the next video. All right.
See ya.